So a highway patrolman is seated on the side of the road looking for some speeders coming along the way, ready to get his commission off those ticket sales. And he notices a car going down the freeway at 22 miles an hour. And he thought to himself, wow, it's almost as risky someone going too slow as it is going too fast. So he pulls the car over. There were a couple of women in the front seat. There were 3 women in the back. They looked kind of spooked, like kind of starry-eyed. And he said to the driver, let me see your registration and all that. And she goes, well, what did I do? And he said, well, ma'am, it's as dangerous to go too slow as it is to go too fast. And she goes, what do you mean going too slow? He goes, ma'am, I clocked you at 22 miles an hour. She said, well, I am not going too slow. I was going with what the sign said. And he kind of chuckled and he went, ma'am, it's Highway 22, not the speed limit of 22. And she said, oh, okay. And he said, so I'm going to give you a warning. He said, but I got to ask you, what's going on with the other women in the car? They look so startled and scared. She said, they'll be okay in a minute. We just came off Highway 99. So today we are talking about I fought the law and the law won. And years ago, as a teenager, that meant something different to me than what it would actually mean now. But the law, the natural laws, which is the purpose of Jesus and Buddha and many great teachers and leaders in the world, have taught us how to work with the natural laws of life, how to work with them. And so we feel like we are going with the flow instead of being washed over with the determination of wanting something to be different. And so when we're working with the laws and we're in harmony with life, there's an energy about us, there's a way, there's a flow. And the laws are always working. And I've found in my own life as a student, as a teacher, that people want to start arguing with the laws. It's like those laws have been operative since the beginning of time. How are you better off? Are you better off to argue with the laws and make them wrong? Are you willing to look here? Point right here, everyone, point. Are you willing to look here? There must be some way that I'm not flowing with the way. So if I fight the law always wins. It's like in Scripture it says, to him much is given, much is held accountable. And so when you get a download of your own intuition, when life says to you, that's not for you, it might be popular. It might be trendy. There might be tens and hundreds of thousands of people doing it. However, if you do it and you know not to do it, well, you know what happens. We all do. Everybody breathe. And you're breathing already, but breathe deeper with me. Thank you. So in that space, it's really important because there's always been the tendency since the beginning of time to jump onto something popular, to be part of something. I remember when everybody was doing ayahuasca, and there's probably people here that have done it. Good for you. But I got the download that wasn't for me. There's no way that I could ever participate in that. It doesn't matter how many lofty stories or how much I hear or how wonderful or enlightened people become with it. I did something like ayahuasca as a teenager, and I don't need to go back there. Are you with me? So it's paying attention to those particular things. And I was thinking about reflecting this week how one of my favorite books is by Raymond Hollowell, and you can still buy it. It's called Working with the Law. And he talks about working with different types of law, the law of receiving, the law of reciprocity, the law of compensation, how these laws are always working operative in our lives. And I was thinking about Mary Morrissey, that she told a story one time about how her dad read in the paper that dancing and smoking and sex was not good for you. And so he stopped reading the paper. But see, that doesn't work. It doesn't work, right? Because we're still living with what we know and with the choices that we make. Working with the laws of life is so important. And to me, that is why we come every week. We check in, we reflect to each other to remind each other that there's a path, a unique path for every one of us. And though what we reach for may be different, as Martin Epo says, as I say a lot, what makes us reach is the same. We're all here to actualize our soul agreement. And sometimes it feels like we're on it, and sometimes it feels like we're working on it, doesn't it? And so in that space with that beautiful song, That's Life, that is life. You can wake up in the morning and you can start listing all the things wrong, and man, does that mountain get big, right? The person you live with, the way the animals are acting, the way your children have been acting, wrong. Or you can get up every morning and you can start the day with what is right, what is working well, what are you celebrating? And right now, there's like this divine helicopter hovering all of us, especially in the nation of the U.S., wanting to hook us. Do not be hooked. Be in the law of life. Be in the level of trust. Be in the level of energy, because it does make a difference. True story from Raymond Hollowell is there was this woman who lived in this amazing mansion. It was gorgeous with this huge lake in the front yard. It was wonderful. She had servants taking care of everything and taking care of her. She had this amazing, luxurious life. And she complained all the time. So much to do, so much to handle. One day, I just want a trunk with all my stuff in it. That's what I want. Well, her husband died. Investments went bad. She wound up toting her trunk and living in a small room in her sister's home. She repeatedly told the universe of planting the seeds what she wanted. And as we know in truth, the divine organized energy, God, good orderly direction, doesn't stop you in your tracks, part the skies and say, are you sure? Are you sure? It doesn't go like my dog does, depending on my tonality, believe that I'm serious or not. Universal law just goes, well, this is what Jean asked for. She's declaring it. This is what's occurring. And so especially those of us that are aware of the responsibility our mind, our voice, our I am carries, we want to be extra mindful of what we say, what we declare. Does this work with you? Yes. Convincing. In that energy space, in that flow, we know that with life, it is reciprocal. It truly is. It's like just as the sun is reaching towards the plant, let me do it in the right direction, just as the sun's reaching towards the plant at the same time is reaching towards the sun. When we are reaching towards anything, life in turn is reaching towards us. If there's not a path, if there isn't a flow, if it doesn't happen, we don't need to force fit the piece of the puzzle. We need to realize where it is where it is. And where it is, as Buddha would say, is probably best for the moment, right? To look at a redirect If the Waze or the GPS, the God personalized system, the GPS, is saying don't go that way right now, even though ultimately you want to arrive there, go on the detour. Because within the detour, there's going to be some relatability of something that you are to meet or to connect, or there's another piece of yourself that needs to be retrieved. So when you do meet your arrival place, you're actually ready for it and you won't miss it. It's important that we honor and respect this ancient law because we can fight it and it always wins. There's this little boy that is waiting at the bus stop, and a man is wanting to be helpful, and he says to the little boy, "Son, the bus doesn't stop here." And the little boy says, "Yeah, it does. Yes, it does." The man said, "Son, I've lived here a long time, and I can tell you the bus doesn't stop where you're standing." "Yeah, it does." So in a minute, lo and behold, well, you can figure it out. The bus pulls up and opens the door for the little boy. And the man looked kind of startled. And as the doors are opening, the little boy looks to the man and said, "You see, I knew the bus would stop here because my dad is the bus driver." And this is part of the energetic presence that we check into in a deeper way, is realizing who our bus driver is. I was at a conference all last week about recovery and many other things, but what we were all saying is that regardless of what you feel or may not feel, there is a power that is greater than you are, because none of you got up this morning and had to tell your body, "Start breathing now." You didn't have to pump your lungs. "Let's go now. Let's go now." You didn't have to say, "Heart, start beating now." I mean, quite frankly, if we did, some of us probably be in a whole lot of trouble, right? But that being said, we know that there's a bus driver in our lives. And so we ask ourselves with deep, deep reverence and sacredness, who is our bus driver? And how do we believe about that energy? One of the best things I ever did for my spirituality was come out of the Silent Witness Protection Program. And that's why I tease you, some of you, about that, because people would go, "Oh, what do you do? Where do you go to church? Where do you go?" I was in the Silent Protection Program. Like, I didn't tell people, I go to Unity. It is the message for today's times. It can raise the dead, heal the wounded, bring families together, keep people forever young, show people how to have money, give their money, share their money, most of all, love their money, because if you don't love it, you don't have it. That is unity. And so my bus driver is God. Divine mind, creator, Yahweh, whatever you call it. But when my life started vibrating at a greater level is when I started saying, this is who I am. And quite frankly, it's the only reason I am. Because there's no explainable reason on the planet as to how I survived me. Ayahuasca or otherwise. Are you with me? And so to be thrilled about your life and the tools that you have and that you share. I may have told you that along the way, and if I'm repeating myself, I guess I'm supposed to, because I don't go with notes, I'm just flowing. But that being said, I was at a wedding, and this man comes, and somebody had told him he needed to meet me for whatever reason, and so he starts to say, well, our conversation is going really well. And he said, but I'm going to tell you something in our conversation. I know you're a minister. And he said, so our conversation probably then won't go well. And I said, well, try me out. He said, well, I'm atheist. And I said, that is so hot. He said, what? I said, that's wonderful. He said, how can you, what? Nobody's ever said that to me. I said, well, if we had all evening to talk, we would probably discover that I don't believe in the God you might think I believe in either, and I might believe more about where you're coming from, and we could find some common ground. And I said, however, I got to tell you, atheists talk more about what they think God isn't than most people that have God working for them ever mention the experience. So I see you as a great PR person for our cause, and I really appreciate you, and I applaud you. Let's give that guy a hand, right? I mean, that's what it is. So the law of life, and that is why for me and for many of you, when we first got involved and first engaged in these teachings, our life, I don't know about you, but my life went from here to and then some, and then a little bit, and a little bit, that, And what we know and where we do our work with the inner law of our being is we work on our unconscious mind. We clear the deeper aspects of us, of different feelings or holding back or thoughts of scarcity or what's going to happen or all of those. We do our work to clear, to become grounded, to become centered. And by the way, Linda Kerr, that was amazing as a meditation. Please join us anytime. Thank you. You in spirit, that just flowed right in. That was amazing. So grateful. Where am I? At Unity. There's Woody. I'm at Unity. Okay. So in that space of working with the law, there's the energy of that. There's the knowing of that. And that is what we do. We bring energy to wherever we go. At the event this past week, I don't know how you are about tipping, but I believe often I tip before I've ever received a service. And I tip well, whether it's someone helping with the bags at the airport or at a restaurant. I always remind them I ask for a lot, but I tip well. Let's just clear that in the beginning. You matter. What's your name? Hi, Margaret. Hi, Tom. You matter. We are all on equal territory here, and I think it's so important to live that way. But we pull up, and we've got, if one day maybe some of you will see me and Bibi on a travel trip. It's scary. There's like 14 bags. And so we had convention stuff and we had bags going to the room stuff. And why does that matter? The point is, I was on the elevator with a man named Robert, and he was the bell guy, the bell boy, who's a man. And so Robert and we struck it up, and we went up 10 flights. We delivered stuff. Then we went to my room. We were there for a while. We were like friends, okay? And so that being said, we started talking about all the great music of our time. And we broke down and we were doing, why do birds suddenly appear? And then, staying alive, staying alive. We were on it. We were getting down. We were doing all kind of, dancing queen. We were in it, right? And I had already given him a nice tip. But the end of the journey was that we needed to load everything up. And then in the high-end hotels, good luck finding a place to put your car because you still got to go back to the conference. And I said, Robert, what do you think we ought to do? And he said, Temple, you know what? We have a private parking lot over there. And you just go over there and you leave your car there as long as you would like. So why is that? Am I different from you? Absolutely not. It's about we give energy to something and it comes back to us 100-fold. Wherever we go with that presence of life, we ask ourselves, am I a lifter or am I a leaner? I'm going to share this with you, if you would like, by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Shall I? Yes. There are two kinds of people on earth today, two kinds of people, no more I say. Not the good or the bad, for it's well understood. The good are half bad and the bad are half good. Not the happy or sad, for in the swift flying years bring each man his laughter and each man his tears. Not the rich or the poor, for to count a man's wealth, you must know the state of his conscience and health. Not the humble and the proud, for in life's busy span, who puts on vain airs is not counted a man. No, the two kinds of people on earth, I mean, are the people who lift and the people who lean. Wherever you go, you'll find the world's masses are ever divided into these two classes. And strangely enough, you will find too, there is only one lifter to 20 who lean. In which class are you? Are you easing the load of the overtaxed lifters who toil down the road? Or are you a leaner who lets others bear your portion of worry and labor and care? Very important in that we are a lifter. We are a lifter here. We're a lifter in this community. We're a lifter as we gather. And you can feel that with us. Speaking of the law, I was invited, it happened to be the same month and the same summer, to two communities as a guest minister at two different unities in Orlando. They were about 15 minutes apart. And the one minister that called me almost apologized the whole time we were on the phone about inviting me because they just didn't have many people there. Well, you know, many people don't come during the summer. So I want you to come, but just realize that we don't have many people here. And so, okay, well, you know, I get my honorarium. I'll do the best I can. Okay, we'll be there. Then the next minister calls and says, can't wait for you to come. We have had to put out more chairs. We have hundreds of people coming. We have people showing up at classes. We have people doing that. What was the difference? Who was right? They both were. They were both right because they were declaring into the law the truth, and they were seeing the truth, and they were proving themselves right by the truth. We're working with the laws of our own understanding. Realize your inner ability to guide your life. And I trust you've received something from this talk today, because I will tell you, for me, I really needed it. Okay? I want to lead here, not get caught into what may or may not happen according to conversations. I want us to lead this city. I want us to lead our teaching. I want people to hear about us and know about us, because great and amazing things are happening here. And it's important because we have this time together now, and we can do this. So I'll close, because you like funny things, or you tell me you do. If you don't, stop telling me. I won't do funny things. But anyway, so there's this Orthodox rabbi, and on Shabbat, he decides to play golf. And Archangel Gabriel is upset and says, Yahweh, do you realize that the rabbi is playing golf on Shabbat? He's playing golf. You ought to take the thunder and lightning and strike him for doing that. I dare him do that. And God says, oh, I've got another idea in store for him. So the rabbi hits the ball, goes 420, what does it go, yards? It's been a while for me. Feet, tell me, help me. It goes a long way, okay? And it goes up on the green, and it goes into the cup. The rabbi is so excited, he has a hole in one. And Gabriel goes, God, I thought you were going to do something to make him regret what he's doing on Shabbat. And God said, who's he going to tell? Well, so there you go. Okay. All right. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for being here.